Well, good afternoon, good morning, and even good evening to everyone. I'm Hugh Edwards from Gomo Learning. Welcome to the second in our new series of bite-size Gomo demonstrations, where each week we look at different aspects of Gomo and to give you an idea about how that could work and the benefits to you as you build your e-learning content. We've had a really great response to this particular one, which is going to be about how we can use Gomo themes to create consistent branding for your courses. So just going to give a minute or so more for anybody else who needs to join in. And by the way, in your GoToWebinar panel, you will see the question panel there. So please feel free to use that to ask questions and add in your own thoughts. And see that we've had a question here from Katrina. Can we send this webinar recording to my email? Yes, we will be sending out the webinar to everyone who's registered for this session. And these webinars are designed both for people who are completely new to Gomo, who haven't seen Gomo before, to give you an idea of specific features, but also for existing customers as well. And I can see a few familiar names who have tuned in, so welcome to you too. So I'm just going to share my screen and we'll get going. So let me just click my share button here and just check I'm showing the right screen. So let's talk about themes and branding. So a Gomo course gets its look and feel through what we call a theme, which is essentially a style template. And that's going to control the way that your fonts for headings and body text look, but it's also going to control the way that all the things that you can add into a Gomo screen, what we call assets, are going to look. And the important thing here is that a theme is separate from your actual learning content. So it's not going to limit you in any way in terms of the actual content you put in, but it does give you a way to, in particular, to apply a consistent look and feel to your courses. So let's just have a look at what we mean by a theme. So here you can see let me just check. I'm just getting a message here in the question panel about not being able to see my screen. Could I just check that if you could just raise your hand, you'll see the little hand icon. Could you raise your hand if you can see my screen? Ah, great. So it looks as if right, thanks, Rebecca. I think it was just I hadn't shared my screen until a couple of minutes into this webinar. That's great. Thank you very much. So let's have a look at this idea of themes. So in Gomo, here I've logged into my Gomo account. This is going to show me the courses that I have in my account. But at the top here, I can look at the theme settings. So this is my pool of themes, the style templates that I can apply to one or more courses. And what you'll see in your standard Gomo account is some of these standard built-in themes like Duo, Material Design, Night Sky, and so forth. And each of those will have its own look and feel and different styles. But you can either just use that style in effect out of the box, or as we'll see, we can use the theme editor to be able to change that, most typically to match your brand colors. Now, the important thing at the heart of themes is, particularly if you have a team of people creating e-learning courses, then if you have a theme set up to match your brand, then as long as everyone selects the correct brand theme, then you can be sure you're going to end up with a consistent on-brand brand library of courses, that you're not going to discover that somebody's chosen to use the wrong fonts and the wrong colors on a particular screen. It also means that you don't have to waste time, particularly if you've got a team where you've got maybe subject matter specialists who aren't really graphic designers. They don't have to sit there looking up hex color reference values from your brand guidelines. It's all in the theme, so it gives you both consistency and speed of development. But first of all, let's get a sense of what these built-in themes look like. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to go to my tab here, and I've taken a standard course, so it's the same course in Gomo, and I've applied each of these different themes to it because I just want to get a sense of what a theme is and what these different built-in themes do. So this particular one is the Duo theme, and Duo by default, it has this default background image, and we can change that in the theme editor. It has icons here for the different elements like help and so on. It has default colors here for things like the slide out table of contents. It has a particular look to the menu buttons, and you can see it's picking up the colors there. And then the different assets that we can add in will also have their own look and feel. So for example, here, I can see the different font styles that are in there by default. I can see the way, in this case, the accordion asset will look. We can see it has a styling here for these little chevrons that rotate as I click and expand, and so forth. And these are the stylings of the different button types. But let's have a look at, say, a different one. So this is exactly the same course with the elements theme applied. So again, different default background image. You can see here that the buttons here are solid and rounded. And again, the menu buttons here have a different look. Again, default colors that we can change, but the styling there is just from this particular theme. So again, if I just have a look at the presentation assets. So let's have a look. So here we've got a slightly different styling for the accordion and so on. And let's just dip into a couple of others. So those are the button stylings for that particular standard thing. This is the material design theme. Again, sort of very bold colors by default, which we can change. Again, different stylings of the menu buttons here. And it will come with some default fonts in there and the different looks of those and so forth. Odyssey Dark, again, as the name suggests, has a dark color scheme. And again, different types of styling in here. So what you do is to start off with the theme which might be the closest in terms of the look and feel that you want, not in terms of colors, but in terms of, for example, the shape of the buttons, whether things like, in this case, accordions work and so on. And what we can do is to make a copy of that and then to use the theme editor. So let's do that right now. So what I'm going to do is go back into Gomo, go to our pool of themes. And so here I might say, well, actually the Duo theme, that's I quite like the styling of the buttons and so forth, but I don't like that background image and those colors are wrong. So what I can do is here, what I'm going to do is take a copy of that theme. That's going to add the copy into my pool of themes. And in that way, I can apply it to one or more courses that I create. So I'm creating one central place for the branding, and then I can apply that to my team's courses. So what I can do here is to take Duo, choose to duplicate that. And here I can just give it a name, demo copy. And apply the changes, because I can't edit the theme directly, but now we'll see at the bottom, I've now got my own copy of that. When I click on that, that takes me into the theme editor. So let's just dip in here and see what we can actually change. Obviously, I can change the name there. Let's go to the global settings. So from here, I can change things like the default content area where all my assets, all my stuff is going to reside, I'm going to leave the defaults there. But the main things that you're probably going to want to change here are the colors, because typically you'll have your own brand with your own specific brand colors. So we've got the primary and secondary colors, and these are going to be picked up by different elements that you can add to a Gomo screen. So for example, I might want to change the secondary color there. So I can either do that by eye, or more typically, you would have a specific color reference value that you could put in there. So you check that in your brand guidelines and put in the reference value, say the hex value there. So in fact, I'm just going to copy that hex value because I'm going to use that later on. We can also choose about whether we want a default background image. So here under backgrounds, I can just simply choose to select a different default background image, or in this case saying, no, I don't want a default image. I'm just going to say no image. And I can always choose to put in my own background images for each individual screen. I'm going to leave these here in terms of this is the coloring of the columns that the content is going to sit in. And you can see that we can even adjust the transparency of those columns there. But also the key thing here is that when we're creating content in Gomo, you don't have to worry when you're editing text about selecting particular fonts and colors and sizes. All you do in the Gomo text editor is select a particular style, like using a style sheet in a word processor. And how that's going to appear is how it's defined in the theme that you've applied to it. So here you can see we've got heading 1, heading 2, body text, and so on. So I can go in and change this. So in a standard theme, I can select from a web-safe list of fonts. So I might choose that Helvetica is the closest to our brand font. And I could choose to change the color that's going to be applied there. So I might use the company blue that I used before. And even here, I could say, just so we can see the difference, I could even say, I'm going to use Courier New, and I'm going to make this a particular color again up there, and so forth. So you select your colors, but then we can go beyond that. If I go to the button section, we can choose how the colors used in the backgrounds for the buttons and also the text that's used on the things like the menu buttons. So here for the hover color, again, I want to match my brand blue. And I could go down to the fonts that are going to be used. So again, I want to use that blue in my text that's going to hover over there. I could also choose to change the fonts as well that's being used. We can look at the header navigation bars. I can choose, this is where things like your help and menu are going to appear. You can have one at the top, one at the bottom. I can choose the color and transparency of that header bar. But also I could choose to put in a logo. So the most typical way that you'd want to do some branding is make sure you're using your correct brand colors, make sure you're getting the closest to your brand fonts, and the way to make it more distinctive is to add in a logo. So I'm going to say in the header here that I'm just going to find here in my folders. So we can find that we've got a logo folder. Here we go. I'm just going to add in the Gomo logo in there in the top. And I could choose to change the footer logo. They're completely independent, so I could have different variations of the brand colors. I'm just going to click apply. So I now have a version of that theme, which I can now apply to one or more courses. So let's just have a look here, but let's build a new course and we're going to apply that to it. So here I just click on create a new course. And again, here, if you're new to Gomo, what Gomo's doing here is just prompting me with an initial series of questions. We can change all of this later, but it's just to get us up and running. So I give it a name. Of course, Gomo has great support for multi-languages. You can create a single course and make that available in multiple languages. And that's the subject of some other ebooks we have on our website and also some other webinars that we'll be running. But for now, I'm going to make it just a single language course. Now this is where I select the theme, the style template that I want to apply. And the one I'm going to apply is the copy of Duo that I've just created. So I'm going to select that. This is all about the structure of the course. So remember that a Gomo course consists of these top-level building blocks that we call topics. In turn, those topics are going to be broken down into a sequence of screens that relate to that topic that the learner is going to work through. Those topics can be linked together in different ways, most typically, but not exclusively, through a menu. So here I'm going to say I want an introduction, I want a menu. I think I need 4 learning topics. And this is what's going to appear in the toolbar. So I'm going to say I want help, a glossary of terms so a learner can look up a particular word if they don't understand it. I'm going to add in resources because that can give me a set of useful links to external websites and PDF documents. And then there are the other elements there. I'll just take the default for now here. So I'm going to click create. So Gomo's looking at those initial choices about the topic structure, but importantly, the theme that I've chosen. It's going to create an outline course with me, for me. It's going to add in just some dummy content. So I've got something to work with in there. And it's going to apply that theme, that copy of Duo that I've selected there. So here you can see I've got my top level view. I've got an introduction leading to a menu and simple branching out to the learning topics. Of course, I could have more complex branching to subtopics. I could even create dynamic branching. So for example, I could ask the learner what their job role is at the start. Gomo could remember that choice. And then using a technique called display conditions, which is going to be the subject, I think, of next week's webinar, we can then have a look at what the learner sees on the screen, and even their whole journey through the course could depend on that selection they've made. But because Gomo's added the theme in and it's added in some dummy content, I can now go up to actions and I can choose to preview this. So let's see how this currently looks. So here it's just opening up another tab and it's loading in the preview here. So we can immediately see that we've got those theme settings. We've got the logo that are requested at the top. We've got the heading text in that blue, and we've got that that body text in that courier in red. And at this point, you can see that I'm not a visual designer, but I did that deliberately there so you can see the changes that you can make within a particular Gomo theme and how they're reflected here. So if we go into the menu, again, you can see I made changes to the menu buttons to change the colors, and you can see it's picking up that color change there. So in the default version of the Duo theme, they were red, and now it's the brand blue that I put in there. And you can see it's also picking up that brand blue on my navigation buttons as well. So that's the process that you go through to take one of the standard themes, just choose the one that has the right kind of look and feel, and then change the colors, choose to change the background image, add in your company logo into the toolbar here, and that's going to get you a long way with the branding. One thing to point out is that there we created a copy of the theme and we edited that copy, and that way we can apply it to one or more themes. And all we'd have to do to update the look and feel is go back to our pool of themes and go down to our Duo copy here. And then I can make changes there. For example, you have a brand update, so maybe the brand colors change. You would just go into that theme, make your changes, click apply, and then every course which is using that theme would automatically get updated. So you wouldn't have to go into the course and start changing the fonts and the colors on every screen. Because it's linked to that theme, everything would get updated. One other thing to point out is that if you want to, you could also choose to change the styling, the theme settings, just at a course level, so that rather than making changes which will apply to all the courses using that theme, if I go to course settings, I can go to the theme settings, and now when I click that, I have the same range of options that I had in the main theme editor, but any of the changes I make here would only apply to this particular course. So you're just controlling and refining the look and feel for an individual course. So that's standard themes. And you can see that there's a lot that you can do with the standard theme editor. But for some of our customers, with very specific brand guidelines. Maybe the theme editor doesn't go quite far enough. So, for example, when we're working with companies like Apple and L'Oreal with very, very sort of strict branding, then what we do is we actually offer a custom theme creation service where we can work with you and your brand teams to really craft every element, every asset that you can add into a Gomo screen to completely match the brand. And I just wanted to show you some examples of that kind of customization to give you a sense of how much further that we can go with these. So I'm just going to go to the custom theme here. And actually, just before I do that, there is a new thing that I was going to show you. For those of you who have been using Gomo for a while, we're about to release an entirely new standard theme for you to use and edit, and that's called the Vinti theme. And that has some quite different things to the normal standard theme, that it actually has, rather than the toolbars, it has this little floating toolbar here. So for example, here, when I use slide out the table of contents, it's actually, you can see we have these nice animations automatically. So really nice enhanced look and feel to this. And here you can see we have those automatic animation effects on the buttons. And here, if we go in there, like if we use the glossary of terms, again, we've got those animations on the glossary. So we think that you're going to find this really useful if you're using standard themes. Once we release it for the new Vinti theme, it's going to give you a really nice experience. It just takes the visual level up that bit. But let's go in and have a look at our custom themes. So the first one that I want to show you, for those of you in the UK, you'll be familiar with the Green King, and who own a large number of pubs and breweries here, and they have a very, very distinctive look and feel, and in particular, the Green King fonts. And you can see here, like the help and glossary, that's all been crafted to match that brand font in there. And here, if I go to the start, things like even the menu buttons are being crafted, that what we'll see here, you can see the completion status is a little beer glass. And if I go in here, this shows me all the different styles that they're using, all their different brand fonts have been built in. And they have a very particular look for things like their accordions and for their buttons. And if I go back to the menu again here you can see we have a glass half full or half empty, depending on the way that you look at it, to represent the completion status. So again, it's just crafting it to make sure it completely matches the brand. So anybody looking at a Green King course, they'll see it as being Green King content. But let's take exactly that same course and have a look at some of the other custom themes. So this is for Wetabix. Those of you who are familiar with the Wetabix breakfast cereal will immediately identify this as being very Wetabixy. We've got their logo there. We've got very much the key Wetabix colors here, and really nice sort of friendly rounded buttons here. And again, these are the menu buttons, so different stylings, different style of the completion status. These are the standard fonts and so forth. And here, a very different look and feel for the accordion. So this is exactly the same course, but with a different custom theme applied. Let's just dip into a couple more. This is BT. BT's a fairly new branding, all with their key colors in here, the logo up there. And again, these are all of the brand colors for the menu buttons and the styling in here. And also here, they're choosing not to have any padding between columns, so everything joins together. So this is when you have multiple images that are all just tiled right up to each other, different style of that, and so forth. And so really here, and again, this is for the telecoms company. Again, the key thing here was their branding. They wanted to make sure that all the courses completely tied in with the brand that you'll see in their retail stores, in their advertising, with their special brand font here called the Knobbly font. And again, nice sort of friendly rounded buttons in there. Again, we can see the fonts being used. So I just wanted to give you a flavor of what we can do through the custom theme creation service to craft and match your brand. So I hope that that's given you a quick introduction to themes. So we've looked at the standard themes. We've looked at the way that you can make a copy of a standard theme and then use the theme editor to match brand colors, add a logo, and then also to give you a sense of what we can do in terms of a custom theme creation service for you if you have very specific brand requirements. Also, just to finish, say one important point that can cause some confusion initially with customers with themes is the themes are only going to control the look and feel. They're this style template that gets applied to your content. It doesn't limit your actual content. It's not going to define that you're going to have this image here and this text has to go there. You're free still to create whatever you like in terms of your Gomo course. All you're doing is applying the look and feel on top of that. Of course, if you want to, you can set up template Gomo courses and have the theme, the brand theme already applied. And from that point of view, people can just go in and make a duplicate of the template course. And that would give the structure as well. But at the heart of the theme, it is just the look and feel to ensure brand consistency and speed of development. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Does anybody have any questions there before we close? By the way, I'm just going to, in the chat box there, I'm just going to put in my email address that if anybody would like me to follow up with you, either if you're new to Gomo or we've been using Gomo for a while, do get in touch. Always happy to have a chat about themes in particular today or any other aspect of Gomo and to see how it might help meet your requirements. Also, for those of you who don't have a Gomo account, we're very happy to set up a Gomo trial for you. And you'll see that if you go to our website, www.gomolearning.com, what you'll see there, let's just bring that over, is that you can request a free trial. If you want to contact us with a general query, you can just click on the contact button there, and we'd be very happy to discuss things further with you. Well, I can't see any further questions appearing there. So I'll just say thank you very much, everyone, for joining in this afternoon. Please do look out for our forthcoming webinars. We'll be running them this time every week, looking at different aspects of Gomo. And I think the next one is particularly about content blocking, about how you can prevent learners moving on from one screen to another until they've completed a screen, like watching all of a video or answering a question or being able to lock menus so that maybe a learner can't get to the assessment till they've looked at all of the learning topics. And that's using this technique called display conditions, which is a really powerful feature of Gomo. So if that's of interest to you, do make sure that you register for that same time next week. So thank you very much, everyone. Hope you have a great day and the rest of your week, and look forward to seeing you at a future webinar.